Hello 12th standard, welcome to English class. Today we are going to do the third poem from your Flamingo textbook, and the title of the poem is Keeping Quiet. Keeping Quiet is written by Pablo Neruda, right? And actually Pablo Neruda is his pen name. His real name was Neftali Ricardo Rias Basso Alto. This was his real name, and he wrote under the pen name of Pablo Neruda. He was born in the town of Parral in Chile. Neruda's poems are full of easily understood images, which make them no less beautiful. That means he wrote in very easy language, which made it very beautiful. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year in 1971. In this poem, Neruda, he talks about the necessity of quiet introspection. What is the meaning of introspection? Introspection का मतलब होता है to observe one's own feelings, मतलब mentally and emotionally. Here in this poem, he's actually talking, he wants the mankind to take some rest and actually take care of their mental and emotional feelings. And he wants to create a feeling of mutual understanding among human beings. This Keeping Quiet was actually originally written in Spanish language, but later it was translated into English. Now, before I move towards the poem, let us actually know what is the poem about. What does the title of the poem suggest? Here in this poem, the poet wants the mankind to take a pause from their busy life and to actually introspect and understand the very purpose of life. He wants and he is appealing to the people to be united and to live in harmony. And for that, he feels that absolute silence and stillness is essential to actually live in harmony with each other, right? This is about the poem. Now I will read out line by line the poem and I'll explain you. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Here in the first stanza, poet is saying, and he's appealing to the mankind. He wants the mankind to be still. To be still, matlab, not to move and to count till 12. Here in this poem, he's appealing to the people that to be still, matlab, itna movement mat kare. We are not talking about the physical movement. We are talking about the busy life of the people, right? He wants that people should be still, take some time. And during this moment of stillness, he wants that nobody should utter a word. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak any language. Here he is saying that जब person जो है वो still है, इस उस moment पर वो चाहता है कि कोई भी कुछ किसी भी language में कुछ भी बात ना करे. There should be stillness, there should be quietness. And also will not move or make any movement. And he also says, let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Matlab he wants perfect stillness, ekdam quiet. Koi आवाज nahi, not a single word, right? And not even the movement of our arms or physical body. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. यहाँ पर वो बोल रहे हैं कि अगर सब कुछ still हो जाएगा, right? Everything will be still. There won't be no movement, no uttering of single word, right? जब सब stillness हो जाएगा, तो here he says, such a stillness would be exotic. Exotic मतलब extraordinary moment हो जाएगा ये. जहां पर क्या होगा, there won't be any roar of engines नहीं होंगे, no hums of machines, all mankind would be linked in total or absolute silence. और जहां पर इंजन्स की आवाज नहीं, मशीन्स की आवाज नहीं, कोई वर्ड नहीं, कोई मूवमेंट नहीं, तो कितना एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी मोमेंट हो जाएगा. और वो जो मोमेंट होगा, ऑल मैनकाइंड वुड बी लिंक्ड व्हेन टोटल और एब्सोल्यूट साइलेंस हो जाएगा. एंड दैट वुड बी जस्ट स्ट्रेंज. He says, in a sudden strangeness, he feels, then that would be strange. Fishermen in the cold sea, would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. He's saying उस साइलेंस में जो फिशरमैन है वो भी कोई भी वेल को किल नहीं करेंगे. मतलब ऑल फिशिंग एक्टिविटी जो है वो भी स्टॉप हो जाएगी, क्योंकि सब कुछ उसने क्या बोला, अभी पोएट ने क्या बोला उन्होंने, कि एवरीथिंग ही वांट्स टू बी स्टिल, मतलब सब कुछ शांत हो जाना चाहिए. तो ही सेज फिशरमैन जो है अपनी फिशिंग एक्टिविटी भी स्टॉप कर देंगे, they will not be killing any whales, and the man gathering salts would look at his hurt hands. और वो लोग जो माइनिंग में है, राइट, ऑल माइनिंग विल बी स्टॉप, मतलब सारा माइनिंग वर्क जो है वो भी स्टॉप हो जाएगा. और जो सॉल्ट वर्कर्स जो है वो जो पूरा टाइम इधर काम करते रहते हैं, उनको भी रेस्ट मिल जाएगा. एंड दे वुड बी एबल टू गिव सम रेस्ट टू देयर सोर हैंड्स. सोर हैंड्स मतलब जो हाथ जिनसे नमक उठाते हैं, वो माइनिंग वर्क में जो हैंड्स है उनके उनके जख्मी हाथ जो है, सोर हैंड्स जो है, वो उनको भी, वो हाथों को भी रेस्ट मिल जाएगा. Then let us move towards the other stanza. Here he says, those those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about their brothers in the shade doing nothing. अब यहाँ पर वो एक्चुअली उन लोगों को बोल रहे हैं, he is referring to those people who are engaged in wars. Wars can be with the nature, wars can be with the poisonous gas or firearms, anybody, any kind of war. तो ये बोल रहे हैं those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire. He's referring to those people who go on killing and cutting the trees, right? वो भी हो गया ना, मतलब kind of like you are killing the trees. Or those people who are with wars with poisonous gas से जो wars करते हैं, जो लोग फायर आर्म से जो वॉर्स करते हैं, और वो सारा डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं फ्लोरा और फौना ऑफ द अर्थ, राइट. तो ही सेइंग दैट कि वो लोग जो वॉर्स में इन्वॉल्व है, वॉर्स कैन बी ऑफ एनी टाइप, environment wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, and he is telling them to stop. और यहाँ पर पोएट उनको बोल रहा है to pause, to stop, because he feels victory with no survivors. वो बोल रहे हैं कि what is the use of those wars, जहां पर अगर आपको विक्ट्री भी मिलेगी तो ऐसी विक्ट्री का क्या काम, जिसका कोई मीनिंग ही नहीं होगा, ऐसी विक्ट्री का जहां पर कोई रहेगा ही नहीं, है ना. यह ही मीन्स टू से कि हम वॉर्स जो कर रहे हैं, वो वॉर्स के बाद जब सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा और अगर हमें विक्ट्री भी मिल गई, so what is the use of that victory which will not have any meaning, because we are going to lose everything when there would be no survivors. कोई सर्वाइव ही नहीं करेगा, तो ऐसी विक्ट्री का कोई मतलब नहीं है. इसीलिए he wants that all the wars should be stopped. would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. Instead, he's saying that instead of doing the wars, poet bol rahe hai, he says that people should wear their best attires. They should wear their clean clothes. Clean clothes in the sense, do not involve yourself in the wars, right? Instead, he wants that people should be friendly. They should and they must go out for a walk with their brothers. जहाँ पर वो लोग आराम से बैठ सके उनके साथ, मेडिटेट कर सके, इंट्रोस्पेक्ट कर सके. इंट्रोस्पेक्ट मतलब मैंने अभी बताया कि अपनी फीलिंग्स को वो शेयर कर सके rather than doing the wars. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. अब यहाँ पर बोल रहे हैं what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Here he is talking about कि अगर पोएट बोल रहा है कि हमें पॉज करना चाहिए, हमें स्टॉप करना चाहिए, हमें कोई मूवमेंट नहीं करनी है, हमें स्टिल रहना है, तो वो टोटल इनएक्टिविटी की बात नहीं कर रहे. स्टिल हो जाना मतलब कि विदाउट डूइंग एनी एक्टिविटी देयर विल बी नो लाइफ, है ना? तो he is not talking about no life. He is not talking about death. No life means death. So he is not talking about that kind of activity. वो डेथ की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो नो एक्टिविटी की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो टोटल इनएक्टिव रहने की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, पर सिर्फ वो बात कर रहे हैं कि वी शुड नाउ स्टॉप. और क्या स्टॉप करने की बात कर रहे हैं? लेट अस रीड. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. He's saying that I do not mean that total inactivity की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Life is meant for living. Life है तो life is meant for living. हमें तो जीना है. Poet is not talking about that. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing but perhaps use silence. Here is saying life is about moving, but take some rest. While moving, think, stop, and take rest. A long silence can do a lot of good because man becomes sad when they fail to understand themselves. क्योंकि मैन यहाँ पर इतना बिजी है अपनी लाइफ में, मैन इज रनिंग होल डे दैट द मैन डज नॉट हैव टाइम. और वो रश में मैन एक्चुअली सैटिस्फाइड नहीं है. मैन इज एक्चुअली नॉट सैटिस्फाइड दो मैन इज रनिंग बिहाइंड एवरी मटीरियलिस्टिक थिंग, राइट? और वो मटीरियलिस्टिक थिंग्स जो है उसको गेन करने के लिए मैन अपने आप को बहुत दूसरी ऐसी चीजों में, इस एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व कर देता है कि वो खुश तो नहीं रह पाता और भी सैड होता जा रहा है. तो वो एक्टिविटीज की जो है बात कर रहे हैं पोएट. एंड ही सेइंग दैट आई वांट दैट द मैनकाइंड शुड टेक रेस्ट. और वो लॉन्ग साइलेंस जो है उससे क्या होगा? मैन विल बिकम, जो मैन अभी जो सैड जो है, शायद वो सैड मैन जो है he will become happy क्योंकि he will get some rest. और जब हम शांत रहेंगे, जब हम रेस्ट करेंगे, तो हमें एक्चुअली पता चलेगा कि what do we want from life, right? Instead of just running behind the things, we would actually learn to know, and we would know what we actually want when we are quiet and when we sit in silence, right? So here he said, might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. क्योंकि अभी तो क्या हो रहा है? Man is sad. Why they are sad? Because they fail to understand themselves. And because man cannot understand himself and is helpless, तो उसको threaten themselves with death. और वो man जो है is scared of death and is threatening himself with death. लेकिन जब हम शांत से रहेंगे तो हमें एक्चुअली पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ पता चलेगा। और वो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर पोएट, कि वो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ जब हमें पता चलेगा तो वी नो व्हाट वी हैव टू डू इन लाइफ। Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. यहाँ पर ही टॉकिंग अबाउट इवन नेचर जो है हमें सिखाता है। नेचर हमें क्या सिखाता है? नेचर हमें सिखाता है, आप देखो जब कभी भी विंटर सीजन होता है ना, तो विंटर सीजन में यू विल नॉट फाइंड एनी फ्लावर्स, राइट? कोई फ्लावर्स नहीं मिलते, कोई लीव्स पर जो है पत्ते, पेड़ों पे पत्ते नहीं होते, राइट? लेकिन जब भी स्प्रिंग सीजन आता है तो ऑल कम अलाइव, है ना? तो वो जो विंटर टाइम है वो नेचर हमें क्या सिखा रहा है? स्टॉप होने का टाइम, टू रिमेन स्टिल, not to do any activity, and to actually think inside, introspect yourself, right? तो नेचर भी हमें ये सिखाता है। तो यहाँ पर जो पोएट बोल रहे हैं, perhaps the earth can teach us when everything seems dead later proves to be alive. He teaches us even nature seems dead when winter comes, there are no flowers and leaves on trees, but as soon as the spring comes, everything comes alive, all flowers and leaves all come alive. तो हमें अर्थ और नेचर भी थोड़ा टाइम स्टिल, स्टॉप और रेस्ट लेना सिखाता है। Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet, I will go. So in the same way, poet is saying that it is better that we keep quiet so that we can refresh our mind, we can refresh our spirit, and we can refresh our soul. So this is a very good poem written in a very simple language for all of us to actually understand the purpose of our life, the purpose of the life of a mankind, and that human being who's running after each and everything. It is time where we should stop and think what is right and good for